The inkjet printer can spit out just about anything on paper. The secret behind it? Kettles. That's right. An inkjet printer is made of 3,900 tiny kettles. But instead of boiling water, these kettles boil a liquid 30 times more valuable than champagne: ink. By boiling ink, the inkjet printer can shoot it at precise spots on paper to create text, graphics, and images. So, how does it work? There's not a lot of excitement on the outside of the average inkjet printer. But open it up, it's a different story. The first order of business is the paper. A paper grabber feeds sheets of paper to the printer. And there's a roller which advances the paper during printing. These cartridges and black tubes make up the ink distribution system. But this is the heart of the machine, the printhead assembly that fires ink droplets on paper. A belt connects the printhead assembly to a motor. This circuitry coordinates the mechanics of printing and decodes information sent from the computer. Its job is to maintain a smooth relationship between the paper, the printhead, and the inks. The inks are a special mix of water, dyes, and chemicals that prevent the ink from drying up in the reservoir and fading on the paper. Ink is a surprisingly valuable liquid. Milliliter per milliliter, it's worth about 30 times more than champagne. In this model, the black ink cartridge holds 10 milliliters of ink. The colored cartridges hold 4.5 milliliters each: yellow, cyan, light cyan, magenta, or light magenta. Combining these 6 colors can create 16 million colors. With 4.5 milliliters of ink, a single cartridge can fire 900 million droplets, enough to print hundreds of pages. So how does the printer manage this technical feat? 4 small motors play a major role. There's the motor that runs the paper grabber, and another that feeds the sheets of paper into the printer. A third motor moves the printhead assembly back and forth across the paper. And this one activates the ink pump. These 4 motors coordinate to make things run smoothly. Their smooth operation really pays off when the printhead comes into play. The head is made of silicone, easy to shape and sculpt into the 3,900 tiny nozzles that fit on the printhead. These are the 3,900 mini kettles that will boil the ink. There are 650 nozzles, or kettles, for each color of ink, each nozzle handling just one color. A nozzle really works like a kettle. Inside, an electric current quickly heats up a tiny element. When it's super hot, the ink boils and vaporizes. So it expands. As it expands, it forces a droplet of ink out of the nozzle. The heating element turns off, and fresh ink from the cartridge rushes in to refill the nozzle. It happens incredibly fast, each nozzle firing 24,000 droplets of colored ink every second. And when it comes to black ink, the nozzle fires off 36,000 droplets a second. But speed isn't everything. Timing is also crucial. Every single droplet must be shot at precisely the right moment to form text and images on the page. As the printhead skims about 1 millimeter above the paper, the printed circuit board orchestrates the ink shooting sequence so that millions of individual droplets always hit their bullseye. Wow, talk about having the right stuff. Suddenly, this familiar office fixture is a lot less boring than it looks. Imagine 3,900 minuscule kettles heating ink until it boils up and shoots out onto a sheet of paper. The inkjet printer really knows how to make a mark.